All right, guys. So today I'm going to be reading from You². I thought this would be a fun way to share and walk you through. And some people don't have this book, so I'm willing to share mine. So we'll start off at the front. You², a high velocity formula for multiplying your personal effectiveness in quantum levels. Okay. If you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected, for it is hard to find and difficult. Heraclides, 500 BC. A true story. I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder. But it's not working. The frenzied efforts offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It will be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an ideal that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. The first chapter starts with the promise. So, are you ready for this? Boom, 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 boom. You don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. Right now, in this moment, you're capable of exponential improvement in your performance. You can multiply your personal effectiveness, hit new highs, and shatter your old achievement records. The results you can have will be hard for you to imagine. You can become You². You don't have to settle for things as they are now. That can change dramatically. If you're ready, life is prepared to give you a breakthrough experience. You can jump to a higher orbit of achievement, live the dream, enjoy a completely different plane of success. Also, you don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. Just as your level of performance can improve dramatically, so can your rate of accomplishment. Furthermore, the U² formula requires far less effort than you've given in the past. You haven't been reaching your full potential so far. You haven't even come close. No matter how you wish to measure success, regardless of how you define achievement, you have barely scratched the surface of what you can personally accomplish. But maybe the time has come to change all that. Maybe you're ready to make a quantum leap. And now we are at the quantum leap. A quantum leap is a term taken from the vocabulary of quantum physics, the science behind such technology. technological breakthroughs as lasers, computers, space communication, and nuclear energy. Quantum physics is described as the most powerful science ever conceived by human beings. It requires a major rethinking of such concepts as time and space and how human consciousness operates. Quantum physics also has staggering implications regarding you, your potential, and the power of your mind. To put it simply, as human beings, we are going to have to reframe our ideas about the universe and how we fit into it. Fred Alan Wolf, in his award-winning book titled Taking the Quantum Leap, describes the term as the explosive jump that a particle of matter undergoes in moving from one place to another. In a figurative sense, taking the quantum leap means taking a risk, going off into an uncharted territory with no guide to follow. Just free balling. Oh, maybe, whatever you do. Physicists studying quantum mechanics note the particulars. The particles make the jump without apparent effort and without covering all the bases between the starting and ending points. What's going on here? How does this happen? And is it possible for you as an individual to do something very similar in your personal performance? I say yes. I know yes, because all it takes is a shift. Even the slightest shift can transform things dramatically. You take a left instead of a right at a light, and you miss an accident that would have delayed your arrival from home for 2 hours. And since you got home 2 hours earlier than you would have if you went the other way, now you have time to work on a book. And then since you have this extra time, you utilize it and then you send it off earlier than you would have because you're feeling in a good mood. You got home early. And so just because you're in a good mood, that good mood trails on and the email is flowing through the channels, through the interweb, and it lands at that person's desk in just the right timing because you got home early, because you made that right turn, and they're in a good mood as well. So things are all aligning, connecting in ways we have no idea. Just because we do something a little out of the ordinary, and I feel like we're giving the universe back the control that we've taken over. That was never ours in the first place. So, You² now. Most people operate with a mindset that assumes success comes one step at a time. The unspoken but popular notion is that we must move systematically from our present level of achievement to the next. Then the thinking goes, from the stage, we can begin working toward graduating to still the next level in the sequence. Gradual progress. This is an unfortunate misconception and is clearly reflected in the way people function. They go about day to day striving to make incremental gains in their performance. That's pretty routine. That's the pathway of conventional growth. But your life simply does not always have to operate that way. Advancing at a measured pace, step by step from where you are to a little bit better, ordinarily feels easier, more natural, and even safer. But in certain areas of your life, you can just as easily think in terms of skipping levels. You can move from your present level of achievement to one that is several stages higher directly. You make the quantum leap. You become You². Instead of accepting present circumstances or being content with gradual improvement, you go for a breakthrough. You² implies an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. It's a formula for stunning advances in achievement and the realization of your dreams. The concept is one of exponential gains rather than incremental progress. You might compare it to multiplying instead of adding. It means a geometric progression in your effectiveness. That's exciting as well as provocative, but it gets even better. Remember, quantum leaps can come without apparent effort. These are high velocity moves that carry you to dramatically higher performance levels without a time consuming struggle. You don't have to start over from scratch. You can just start from where you're at. And from where you're at, that's enough. You have a lot of jumping power. You've built up a lot of energy already. You don't have to wind yourself up. You've already been wound up. Just release. And the release is the trigger. Quantum leaps seem to violate common sense utterly. The idea of moving to a higher orbit and skipping several rungs on the achievement ladder in the process strikes people as far fetched, maybe even outrageous. After the fact, quantum leaps may be viewed as practical, sensible, and even obvious moves, but they typically do not come to you as the obvious moves at the moment. Usually, it's in retrospect that you perceive their hidden logic and elegance. Invariably, quantum leaps are not complex or intricate maneuvers. They tend to be simple, energy efficient, and time saving. You². The quantum leap strategy can deliver those special dreams and ambitions that you instinctively feel should be yours. But the breakthrough demands a radical departure from some of your habits. You are changing on a quantum level, so your world has to change on that level as well, because we are as well as above, below, in, out, all that. The world's changing, you got to change drastically so, but or in certain directions. But once you do that, the flow coming towards you changes, accelerates as much as you want it to. It's up to you. Change. Change your personal rules for success. Okay? Leveraging up your personal effectiveness by an order of magnitude going from you to you² is not a commonplace idea. You should not be surprised to hear the unconventional success calls for unconventional approaches. Quantum leaps require paradoxical behavior, unusual moves, actions that on the surface often seem to contradict common sense. Like saying, you know what, instead of just exercising because I want my body to look a certain way, I'm going to exercise and cut out a big chunk of food groups. And somebody said, well, oh, that's too much at once. That's your body's going to react differently. But in order to shake up your body, to get it listening to you, activating, you have to shake it up sometimes. And that is your world as well. Shaking things up can settle things down in a new and improved way. You're the one doing the shaking. So it's really up to you. As human beings, though, we ordinarily go with the obvious. We fall into the habit of relying on behaviors that seem to have worked best for us over the years. When we take an approach that seems to be very serviceable and which enables us to perform well and succeed, we become very attached to it. We don't readily relinquish that habit pattern. In fact, there's a tendency to follow our favorite approach more and more often, such as that we get better and better at handling things that particular way. That's a level of comfort, okay? It's a level of comfort, and you have to make yourself uncomfortable for change. You want growth, you have. It's not going to come to you just as you are, because otherwise you would already have it. So, this adroitness with a certain approach results in our overdependence on the strategies and tactics it involves. We resist new maneuvers because they make us feel clumsy, awkward, and more at risk. And risk is inherent to us all, to everything. And that's what we don't like, the risk. But if you want to accelerate your rate of achievement rapidly, you must search out and vigorously employ new behaviors, new attitudes. You must be willing to break out of your routines in order to make the quantum leap. The things that worked for you in the past very likely could, sooner or later, lose their serviceability. Even if your customary approach still holds promise for maintaining your present level of performance and growth curve, it may not help much if you want to hit far higher achievement levels. And if you continue to rely on those old routines, maybe even leaning on them, most when your performance flattens out or sags, you create a trap for yourself. Get locked in, clank, clank. And it's harder to pivot once you've locked yourself into a box. You can still do it. Nothing is inescapable. You can still move outside of it and into your new path. But the pivot's a little harder. The shift is a little more uncomfortable. Okay, there's a certain irony here. Your historically most dependable behaviors can become the major obstacles to future success. It's possible for them to cripple your progress. They may stand as personal boundary lines that limit what you can accomplish with your life. There is, however, another course of action. It is the way of the quantum leap, You². The following chapters explain the peculiar strategy that is involved. We'll pick up later with quit trying harder. I'll see you guys later.